I told you that I am. If you are looking for me, let these men go.
This was to fulfill what he had said.
I have not lost any of those that you gave me.
Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it, struck the high priest's slave, and cut off his ear.
Peter, put your sword into his quiver. Shall I not drink the cup that the Father gave me?
So the band of soldiers, the tribune and the Jewish guards seized Jesus, bound him, and brought him to Annas first. He was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, who was high priest that year. It was Caiaphas who had counseled the Jews that it was better that one man should die rather than the people. Simon Peter and another disciple followed Jesus. Now the other disciple was known to the high priest, and he entered the courtyard of the high priest with Jesus. But Peter stood at the gate outside. So the other disciple, the acquaintance of the high priest, went out and spoke to the gatekeeper and brought Peter in.
One of this man's disciples, are you?
I am not.
Now the slaves and the guards were standing around a charcoal fire that they had made because it was cold, and were warming themselves. Peter was also keeping warm. The high priest questioned Jesus about his disciples and about his doctrine. Jesus answered him,
I have spoken publicly to the world. I have always taught in the synagogue or in the temple area where all the Jews gather, and in secret I've said nothing. Why ask me? Ask those who heard me what I said to them. They know what I said.
When he had said this, one of the temple guards standing there struck Jesus and said,
I speak of high priest.
If I have spoken wrongly, testify to the wrong. But if I have spoken rightly, why do you strike me?
Then Annas sent him bound to Caiaphas, the high priest.
You know one of his disciples, are you? I am not.
Did I see you in the garden with him?
No, I swear it.
Then they brought Jesus from Caiaphas to the praetorium. It was morning, and they themselves did not enter the praetorium in order not to be defiled, so that they could eat the Passover. So Pilate came to them and said,
What charges do you bring against this man?
If you were not a criminal, we would not have handed him over to you.
Take him yourselves and judge him according to your law.
We do not have the right to execute anyone.
in order that the word of Jesus might be fulfilled, that he said, indicating the kind of death he would die.
Are you the one they call the King of the Jews?
Do you say this on your own, or have others told you about me?
I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and high priests have brought you to me. What have you done?
My kingdom does not belong to this world. If my kingdom did belong to this world, my attendants would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not here.
So you are a king.
You say I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice.
What is truth? I find no guilt in this man. But you do have one custom, that I release to you one prisoner at Passover. Shall I release to you the King of the Jews?
Not this one, but Barabbas!
Now Barabbas was a revolutionary. Then Pilate took Jesus and had him scourged, and the soldiers wove a crown out of thorns and placed it on his head, and clothed him in a purple cloak.
Hail, King of the Jews!
I am bringing him out to you, so that you may know I find no guilt in this man. Ecce homo.
Crucify him! Crucify him!
Take yourselves and crucify him. I find no guilt in this man.
We have a law, and according to this law, he must die, because he has made himself the Son of God.
We have no law, but law
became even more afraid and went back into the praetorium and said to Jesus,
Where are you from? Answer me. But you don't answer me? Do you realize I have the power to release you? And I also have the power to crucify you.
You will have no power over me if it had not been given to you from above. For this reason, the one who handed me over to you has the greater sin.
Consequently, Pilate tried to release him.
If you release him, you are not a friend of Caesar. Everyone who makes himself a king opposes Caesar.
When Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus out and seated him on the judge's bench in the place called Stone Pavement, in Hebrew, Gabbatha. It was preparation day for Passover, and it was about noon.
Behold, your king!
Take him away! Take him away! Crucify him!
Shall I crucify your king?
We have no king but Caesar!
Then he handed him over to them to be crucified.
So they took Jesus, and carrying the cross himself, he went out to what is called the place of the skull, in Hebrew, Golgotha. There they crucified him, and with him 2 others, one on either side, with Jesus in the middle. Pilate also had an inscription written and put on the cross. It read, Jesus the Nazarene, the King of the Jews. Now many of the Jews read this inscription because the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city, and it was written in Hebrew, Latin, and Greek. So the chief priest of the Jews said to Pilate,
Do not write the King of the Jews, but that he said, I am the King of the Jews.
What I have written, I have written.
When the soldiers had crucified Jesus, they took his clothes and divided them into shares. They also took his tunic, but the tunic was seamless, woven in one piece from the top down.
Seamless. Seamless.
Let's not tear it. Let's cast lots for it instead. In order that the passage of the scripture might be fulfilled that says,
They divided my garments among them, and for my vesture they cast lots.
This is what the soldiers did. Standing by the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary of Magdala. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple there whom he loved, he said to his mother,
Woman, behold your son, behold your mother.
And from that hour, the disciple took her into his home. After this, aware that everything was now finished, in order that the scripture might be fulfilled, Jesus said,
I thirst.
It was a vessel filled with common wine. So they put a sponge soaked in wine on a sprig of hyssop and put it up to his mouth. When Jesus had taken the wine, he said,
It is finished.
And bowing his head, he handed over the Spirit.
Now, since it was Preparation Day, in order that the bodies might not remain on the cross on the Sabbath, for the Sabbath day of that week was a solemn one, the Jews asked Pilate that their legs be broken and that they be taken down. So the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first, and then of the other one who was crucified with Jesus. But when they came to Jesus and saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. But one soldier thrust his lance into his side, and immediately blood and water flowed out.
An eyewitness has testified, and his testimony is true. He knows that he is speaking the truth, so that you may also come to believe.
For this happened so that the scripture passage might be fulfilled.
Not a bone of it will be broken.
And again, another passage says,
They will look upon him whom they have pierced.
After this, Joseph of Arimathea, secretly a disciple of Jesus for fear of the Jews, asked Pilate if he could remove the body of Jesus, and Pilate permitted it. So he came and took his body. Nicodemus, the one who had first come to him at night, also came, bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes weighing about 100 pounds. They took the body of Jesus and bound it with burial cloths along with the spices, according to the Jewish burial custom. Now in the place where he had been crucified, there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb in which no one had yet been buried. So they laid Jesus there because of the Jewish preparation day, for the tomb was close by. The Gospel of the Lord.